Hello, fellow wargamers and history buffs. I wanted to chat with you a little bit today about the rule systems for La Bataille. One of the most frequently asked questions I have is regarding which sort of rule system should I use. And I can share with you some recently acquired information looking at one particular battle and 3 different rule sets to give you some hint at what might be a good option for you. First off, I was at the Buckeye Game Fest just a few weeks ago in beautiful Columbus, Ohio, where I had an opportunity to play La Bataille de Mont St 2nd edition using the Premier rules. Now, we opted for the Premier rules because we knew that we've only had about 5 days to play the game, and we wanted to try to get pretty deep into the battle itself. So usually things are starting to mature with that battle around the 5-6 o'clock hour. That's when the Prussians are really coming in, and you really have a very clear delineation as far as what the status is, who's winning and who's losing. So we knew we could probably get to that playing with the Premier rules. And since we had a relatively newer player to the La Bataille system, Premier is very good for beginners. It has a fairly simple structure to it and a good sequence of play that most people can follow easily. So with that particular game, we were able to, after the end of our 5 days, get to the end of the 520 turn. So we were at a point where we had a very clear idea that it was going to be an Allied victory. The French weren't going to be able to achieve a victory condition in their favor. Meanwhile, over at a table nearby, they were playing the same game using the Marie Louise rules. Now, with the Marie Louise rules, it has the chit pull mechanism. There's only a certain number of activations based on the command structure. And we found that, I think at the end of their 5-day period as well, play, they'd only gotten to about the end of the 340 turn. So we were about 3 hours ahead of them in the battle based on just the difference of rule systems that we opted for. Now, the last rule system I thought I would chat about was the 5th edition rules. These I played twice at Consim in Tempe, first in 2019 with Ed Wimble when we were doing some play testing for MSJ2, and then more recently in 2022. At that particular battle in 2022, after about 4 days, we got to the 4 o'clock turn. And we had a couple of new people to it. So the 5th edition rules do play along pretty quickly. You do have chit pull, but when you pull the chit, if it's the French chit that comes up, all the French maneuver units are activated and they all move at the same time. And you've got a time movement of 10 minutes to move all that stuff. On the Allied side, same thing. If your chit comes up, you move all of the Allied units at the same time, and you've got that 10 minutes to get it in. So that tended to keep things moving along fairly quickly, and we were able to get a fair amount of the game done. So between the Premier and the 5th edition, they're very similar as far as speed of play, particularly in a team setting like that, and certainly faster than Marie Louise or Regs. Now, last but not least, how did the game actually play out looking at these different rule sets? So with our game using Premier rules, we had a battle that in many ways mirrored reality, except it was just flipped. So the French made the bulk of their attack over there on the Hougoumont side of the battlefield. And a lot of the things that might have happened historically on the Allied left wing were instead happening on the Allied right wing. So instead of it being Ponsonby's charge, it was Uxbridge's charge that kind of threw some chaos into the French lines and set their attack back a bit. We were defending instead of at Hougoumont. We were defending the woods and the little villages and things like that behind Hougoumont, and using that territory and that terrain to snipe away at the French as they were coming in, and weaken them slowly over time. So similarly, on the French, I guess it would be their right wing. Things kind of played out as they had historically the other way around, where the Prussians were coming in, starting to put pressure on that side, and then the Allies along the line there had kind of held the line, and then were ready to move forward as things started to tip in the favor of the Allies with the Prussian advance. So the game itself, not having the command control rules and not strictly enforcing the time limit, we were still able to get a lot done, and the game was not something crazy where we had units marching all over the place. Everything was still staying more or less where it did historically, just played out slightly differently, and that's just because of how the players made the focus of their thrust. With the 5th edition rules, very similar types of actions happening, where the only difference was with the 5th edition, the Allies were nailed down a little bit more strenuously because of the command control, and so I don't know that we would have necessarily been easily able to get the Allies in the same sort of defensive posture we had playing the Premier rules. But I think it's still possible, just would have taken a little bit more time to get it set up. But otherwise, in the games that I played using the 5th edition, nothing terribly weird or bizarre is happening. A lot of stuff is playing out very much like it would have done historically. Finally, observing the Marie Louise game that was going on, things were very similar with that too, where the French were making the bulk of their attack over on their right wing with the First Corps, and then followed up with the Guard, while to a lesser extent they had action happening over with the Second Corps there by Hougoumont. So in many regards, regardless of which rule system you're working with, you're going to be getting a good game, a fun game. The flavor might be a little bit different, and depending on what you are interested in, either trying to get through the game fast, work with beginners, or have command control elements in play, I would say if you're looking for a quicker game with command control, 5th edition is a good choice. If you're looking for a game with a little bit more chaos, command control, the Marie Louise is a good choice. It's going to run a little slower. And then if you're looking for something that's fast and simpler, the Premier rules are the way to go for that too. So that's a little bit of what's going on as far as how the rules actually function with the game. And hopefully you guys will enjoy playing the game using one or some of those rules. Find a partner, see what they want to play, see what they like to play, and then play it. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that video. And if you did, make sure you hit the like button. That really helps the channel. And if you'd like to be a more direct contributor, you can buy me a coffee. That's correct. Down in the link below, you can go to buymeacoffee.com and buy me one or more cups of coffee, or you could sign up to become a regular monthly sponsor. If you do so, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're interested in seeing another video that gets into a little bit more depth about the Mont St game that I just played, you can follow this link over here. Until the next time, be well.